Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for the day. Now we're going back into r/Tales of Neckbeard because everybody loves a story time. And beforehand, you know the deal, like, comment, subscribe, let's get right into this. Our first story comes to us from username Low Rule Tourism. The Curse of the Soap User. Hello there, I'm here to post a story I hinted at all across the internet from when I had my most memorable stories of neckbeard behavior. Background, I live in a metropolitan city that's in a tri-state area, no platypus though, that had just got its first anime convention in a few years before this story. Being sort of in the south in a bubble that isn't Hicksville but still uppity, the funding was from the founder and ticket sales. There was no profit though, so after renting next year everything went to charity. This was the third year and I was cosplaying Misa Amane from Death Note and was about 15 at the time. On to the story. I remember the con being very small back then, shoving 2,000 plus people in an underground center because that's all they could afford and hold at capacity. It was wall-to-wall cosplays, autograph lines, artists, and filled up event rooms. They made the most of it, but you could see on the founder's face that he wished he could do better. Still a great guy to this day. Even the volunteer staff had their hands full, but their smiles wide. One was announcing signups for the game tournaments and their $100 prize, to which my broke teenage eyes lit up. I had been making $30 stretch in 3 days and had spent a good bit of it, so when I saw Tekken was one of the games, I knew I had to go for it. I got to the game room at the allotted time, but what waited for me was the stuff of nightmares. I opened one of the double doors to a wave of game room funk. This was a mix of stale cheesy chips, body over farts, and mild note of Axe body spray. Now, I want you to imagine the neckbeard from South Park and comic book guy from The Simpsons had been cloned 10 times apiece and shoved in a room presented with a short brown teenage girl in cosplay entering their sacred land. Had security, another amazing guy still around, not been there at the door, I would have been food for the wolves. I turned my attention to the bracket system that said I was first up in the tournament and went up to the console when called. I played well, Asuka main here, and tried to focus on the games we had over there, heavy breathing and burning tingle of creepy eyes. Back then, their room was small and hot and was out of service during tournaments, so no one came in. At least they didn't stay due to the scent and bad vibes. I managed to zone out enough to feel okay and made it to the semifinals. Sometime between sitting down from my win and a new game starting to determine my next opponent, I start hearing and feeling someone breathing on me. Before I can turn to see who it is or wriggle from between the wall of sweat guys to stand, the mouth breather speaks. I can smell you. Me in my mind, what the absolute duck sauce, dude? Can I smell you? He leaned in a bit more, and being a panicked girl in the sea of massive guys, I shot up out of my seat and shouted, I'm quitting. I grabbed my bag and walked out of there. Security guy asked if I was fine since I was hightailing it so quick, and I nodded and kept stride. I never saw that guy, or at least I hope he isn't like that, and I have had a better experience I don't even know about. The con moved to a big convention center next year, and when they messed with a volunteer that made the problems unearthed, causing them to make strict behavior rules and post big signs reminding people cosplay is not consent. This is going to be the con's 10th year. Now see, that's the one thing I never really understand. Why are these signs constantly needed? It should be just common sense. If somebody's dressed up as your character, that does not make them the character. That does not mean you can treat them like the character. Just because somebody's dressed up as Deadpool does not mean you can go up and smack them, you know, to test the healing factor and stuff. Just remember that while you're at the convention, have some common decency. Our next story comes to us from username AnimeKitty66. Creepy Neckbeard makes a move on me cause he's curious. Okay, so I haven't posted on Reddit before, but a friend suggested I create an account to post my story here, so here it goes. The cast. NB is Creepy Neckbeard, F is best friend, and then me. For a little bit of backstory, I started my transition when I was around 10, clothing, haircut, new name and pronouns, etc., and started hormones when I was 16. Basically, what is important is that I was passing as male and had been pretty much ever since I came out. I was, and still am, a pretty feminine male, which is also quite relevant to the story. I met Neckbeard in my music course at college. I left school 17 to enroll in this course, and he was 20. He was your stereotypical neckbeard, minus the fedora. He loved anime, heavy metal, and had a gross bushy beard. Now, I'm not saying that beards are gross, but his beard was always gross looking. It never looked clean or well kept. Anyway, we got to talking about guitars, an instrument we both play, and eventually we branched out and started talking about anime and other genres of music that we liked. He was kind of socially awkward, but he seemed nice enough. After a while, he started inviting himself to hang out with me and my friends outside of college. They were in a different course from me, but we always hung out on our breaks and outside of college, which seemed a little odd, but my friends and I just assumed that he was lonely and wanted someone to hang out with. He was perfectly fine for the first few weeks, a little touchy-feely with the girls, but they'd always shut him down and he'd apologize profusely. That was until we decided to have a party for F's 18th birthday. It wasn't a massive event, and there was only about 10 people there, which was perfect with us because we were a pretty introverted group and tend to not like big parties. And of course, Neckbeard had invited himself along. On the way to F's house, I could feel Neckbeard staring. Since I had been dealing with some personal stuff for the past couple of months, I didn't have the energy to dress nice or do my makeup and hair like I normally would. But tonight, I had made an effort. My hair had been bleached and dyed purple again, and I put a lot of effort into my eye makeup and had decided on ripped jeans and an oversized sweater, which made me feel cute and allowed me to take my binder off without my chest being noticeable. Long story short, I was looking a lot more feminine than I had in the past couple of months, and Neckbeard had noticed, even trying to play with my hair, which I kindly asked him to stop because I'm not 100% comfortable with physical contact. We arrived at F's house and we bumped into her mom, who was taking F's 5-year-old brother out for the night so we can enjoy ourselves and not worry about waking him. She stayed for a few minutes just to chat to everyone and see how we were all getting on. She is one of the sweetest women you could ever meet, and when she got to me, she asked about how my hormone treatment was going. Neckbeard's eyes lit up. Frick my life. I told her how everything was, and we chatted for a bit before she left. This was when it all started going to shot. So what was that about? Are you turning into a woman? Gross choice of words, but I was patient. No, I'm actually a trans man, female to male. So you're actually a girl? Again, I ignored the phrasing of his question. A lot of people aren't sure how to word these questions, which is okay. No, I was assigned female at birth, but I have a male brain. I've been going by my real name since I was 10. That's cool. I'm totally accepting. People should be able to live their lives how they want. Well, I'm glad you think that. It's a good point of view. But when you sleep with a guy, how does it happen? Frick my life. I'm not sure I'm comfortable talking about that, Neckbeard. No, I was just wondering, because I always wanted to do stuff with one of your kind. Really, dude? My kind? And I just wanted to know how it works. Like, where would your boyfriend put it? I'm visibly uncomfortable by this point, and he can tell, but he kept pushing. Eventually, F walks in, sees that I'm uncomfortable, and tells him to back the frick off or he can head home now. I didn't want him to get kicked out because of me. Anxiety is a barch like that, so when my friend offered to kick him out, I told her it was okay. He probably just made a mistake, right? He was fine for the first few hours, but the minute that he saw I was getting drunk, I'm a happy drunk and just love everyone, so I can't really stand up for myself. He started initiating physical contact, holding my hands, hugging me, pecking me on the cheek. Hell, he even tried to make me sit on his lap. Me, being the nice drunk I am, tried to pry myself away, but didn't want to hurt his feelings. It got to a point where my friends sat themselves between us to make some distance and give me a break from him, which I am grateful for. As the night progressed, I started to relax a bit. I was laughing and joking with my friends, and I kept seeing Neckbeard glaring at me and F. It took a while for me to realize that he was jealous because I was happy initiating physical contact with her. Note, F and I have been friends since nursery and we're both happy, so nothing would ever happen. This continued all night. He kept trying to initiate physical contact with me and would glare at anyone I spoke to. Later in the night, we were pretty drunk. Talk turned to messing around in kinks, and we're pretty open about that sort of stuff in our friend group. This is when Neckbeard started to describe all of his fantasies. He wanted a cute little submissive to spoil and treat like royalty, which is fair enough, I guess, as long as his partner is into that kind of thing. But he started to go way too far into detail about how his submissive would serve him and how they'd be punished if they upset him. I'm not going to go into detail for those that what punishments are. All you guys need to know is that they were pretty messed up. Not kink shaming anyone here, by the way, it's just a lot of them were pretty extreme, and he admitted that he wouldn't listen or allow his partner to safe word, which is not okay for me or my friends. He also wouldn't shut up about Off-Brand and Yaoi Yuri and how he loved the power dynamics in those movies, mangas, and shows. Talk eventually turned to other things, and we tried to forget about our disturbing conversation with him. Towards the end of the night, we decided we were all going to sober up slightly, and a group of my friends went outside to get food. F and the others went up to the attic and bring down an air mattress for everyone to sleep on. I couldn't help due to the immense chest pain that my binder had caused me for wearing it too long. In case you don't know, it's a device to give transmasculine people the appearance of a flat chest, but it can be dangerous if worn for too long. So I stayed downstairs and did the dishes and cleaned up the living room and kitchen instead. I took my binder off before cleaning, and once I was done, lay on the sofa and focused on breathing properly. At some point, Neckbeard had managed to sneak away from my friends and came downstairs to find me lying on the couch. Now, any normal person would just sit down on their other couch, maybe start a conversation, but haha, not Neckbeard, that'd be too simple. Instead, he decides to practically straddle my legs and lean over me, effectively pinning me to the sofa, which I do not like. I get panicky when I get trapped, and starts to kiss me. Now, I just remember I was still intoxicated, sober enough to realize I didn't like this, but too drunk to try and push him off. Even if I was drunk enough, he is a lot bigger than me, so I was essentially screwed either way. Also, he smells awful, like to the point where I feel nauseous. Eventually, F comes downstairs with her boyfriend and he jumps back and stammers that I was the one who initiated it. F flips and slaps him and tells him to get the frick out of her house. We wound up having him stay for a tense half hour whilst we waited for his taxi. Never saw him after that, and my friends went to my college lecturer and told him what happened, and Neckbeard was moved out of my class and also reprimanded. This was due to him trying to talk to me at college, etc., and just trying to make me uncomfortable. F's boyfriend saw Neckbeard a few weeks later, and Neckbeard told him, "It's not my fault, I wanted to try things with him. He should have known when he started acting like a boy that people would get curious. He needs to lighten up and let people experiment with him." Sure thing, Neckbeard, I'll sleep around with curious creeps like you so you can fulfill your fetish or trans men. Anyways, I'm sorry for the long story, thanks to anyone who reads this, and have a great day. TLDR, college friend was chill, found out I was trans, and tried to make a move on me when I was drunk. You know, after everything, I really do hope you're okay, dude. And I do know this probably was something you never wanted to experience. Nobody ever does. Seriously, nobody wants to deal with any of these types of people, especially those who take advantage of other people's inhibitions, or lack of sobriety. I think that's the way to put it. I'm honestly legitimately wondering what goes through these people's minds that thinks, oh hey, this person's drunk, now it must be okay. I'm really glad that you wound up telling a lot of people about this and that he wound up getting reprimanded for this, and honestly, he should have probably gotten a bit worse. And with that, that is going to have to be it with the video. If you would like what you had seen, be sure to like the video, comment down below, and start a discussion with the other people watching, and consider subscribing to the channel and turning on the notifications. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.